Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another one-shot. With the Starks, nonetheless. We just jumped from the Greystarks to this right now. The War of the Wolves. First of all, I apologize if there's any background noise. Every door and window in this room is open because I am melting to death. So you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of background noise, assuming it picks anything up. It might do, but, you know, because studio microphone. So, you know, it is what it is. You'll have to deal with it, lads. It's this or I die to heatstroke. So, you know, I choose life. I choose life. Okay. Anyway, we are going up against the Warg King. For those of you who may know him, Gavin the Warg King of the Wolfswood, of House Greywolf, whom we know basically nothing about. He was a monarch and a skin changer in the north, in legend at least, some point after the Long Night, which is why we are playing as King Brandon the Breaker, a name he received in the annals of legend for breaking down the walls of the Night's Watch, during the time when the Night's King rose to prominence. Allegedly, being his brother, which is what I personally believe. He marched on the Night Fort with the help of the Wildlings and of Lord Umber, or King Umber at the time, slew his own brother, and returned back to Winterfell, wiping all record of the Night's King from history. Aside from the legend, at least, we don't know the guy's name. And I'm pretty sure we don't know his name because it was, in fact, the King in the North's brother. But none of that has happened just yet, ladies and gentlemen. King Brandon the Breaker is not yet known as the Breaker. It is my belief, personally, that he earned that title not just for the Night's Watch, but for his deeds prior to this. Beginning with the Warg King of House Greywolf. With the Red Kings of House Bolton encroaching on Stark territory, the lands of Winterfell need to expand, and the easiest target, and most pressing target, is the Warg King, with his army of beasts, an aid of the Children of the Forest, allegedly. So Brandon sets about a plan to take the Wolfswood for himself, expanding Winterfell's territory and securing a place for himself in the north. Now, all we know of the Grey Wolves, ladies and gentlemen, comes from documents at the Night Fort, at the wall, indicating that the Warg King ruled from Sea Dragon Point, allied to the Children of the Forest. But ultimately, they were defeated by the Starks of Winterfell. The Starks killed all of his sons, beasts, and greenseers, and only took his daughters to bed. Which is, in theory, where the Starks get their strong warg blood from. So, we will try to emulate the historical battles that happened. Kerwin is currently beating the shit out of some wildling raiders. We will rally the lads at Winterfell, put the king in charge of ice, and we'll march on Blackwood's territory. Because yes, Blackwood is in the north, lads. Because the Blackwoods were, if you didn't know, northern bannermen before the Starks kicked them out for reasons. We will explore those reasons in a different video. He's married to a Blackwood though, so yeah. The Blackwoods will remember this, trust me. Ah, there they are. Here comes the Grey Wolves. Come back here. They're splitting up. This is stupid of them. And they're running away. I got him. Oh, it's Blackwood. Come here, Blackwood. On guard. Better men than you. Strike parry riposte. I am victorious. Kick my foe's weapon away, but lay against his own throat. Takes a few tries, but Lucas gets the yield out eventually. I am victorious. I have wounded Blackwood. Do I kill Blackwood? Yes, I feel like we do. Nah, the Breaker is ruthless and vengeful, and he's, you know, doesn't hold back any punches, I think. He dies. Oh, that's close. Holy shit, are we gonna lose? No. No, it's fine. It's fine. It did go against me for a split second then. That's a little close, though, Jesus. Ah, Mormont. Technically speaking, Mormont shouldn't be in charge of Bear Island yet. I think the Ironborn are. My setup for these things is not perfect, but it's the gist of what I should do. Oh, my son. My half-brother, Jon Snow, who's a absolute badass, killed 70 people in the battle. I killed the Lord of Bear Heat. I also killed the Lord Blackwood. You hunt these assholes down, the War of the Wolves will come to an end. We march on Blackwood's... Yeah, here we go. Up and home. I'm going to take Blackwood's territory. Where did they go? Grey Wolf. Come in, boy. Where you at? Yep, they'll attack me. Oh god, that's a bit close. Oh god, this is a bit close. This is a bit close. This is a bit... Actually, we might lose. Attack, yep. On guard, bitch. Strike parry riposte. Better than you. Strike parry riposte. I'm victorious. Sword to his throat. He gets wounded. Oh shit, we might actually lose. We might actually lose. Alright, Wood King. Wait. Attack King Gavin. One more step. Getting past him. No troublesome. I'll get past his guard. Strike parry riposte. Strike parry riposte. Goodbye, Alec. Guard is dead. And then the king is mine. It's just you and me, Gavin. He stares me fiercely down, only taking a small glimpses around, disappointed by being threatened, right? I'm the fastest blade in Winterfell. With a sudden twitch, our bout begins. My sword flows around Gavin like water each strike, chaining fluidly into the next, a series of perfectly timed attacks. Gavin counters with a fierce hail of thundering jabs, almost running me through repeatedly. Fastest blade in Winterfell. Wow, that was easy. I whirl my sword with a deadly flourish, weaving a song of pain across my opponent with every blow. There is an art to true combat, and I am nothing if not artistic. Prepare myself mentally and physically to run him through before perfectly the second opponent. I am victorious. Victory is yours. The Wood King, Gavin Grey Wolf, is at your mercy, helpless and defenseless for the time being. The main battle is far from over, and the lull that previously surrounded you seems to fade away. This was merely a skirmish in the grand scheme of things, but nevertheless. I think we take him prisoner, and that's how the war ends. Like, Stark almost actually lost the battle there, but manages to duel the Warg King and defeat him in single combat. Assuming, of course, that he doesn't escape when I try this. You are coming with me, Warg King. Despite the fact that Stark is going to lose that battle, he defeats the Warg King in single combat, and the rest of the Grey Wolf men lay down their arms. And victory is achieved. Victory is ours. Stark expands his territory into the Wolfswood, and the Grey Wolves are to be executed. In custom of the old gods, ladies and gentlemen, the Warg King is taken to the nearest Godswood and his guts ripped out. Tree sap smeared onto his stomach so that it numbs the area, so that he can still feel it when his intestines are pulled out one by one. I'm getting demonetized. Pulled out and then thrown across the branches of the trees as people dance around in circles, and all of the Grey Wolves are slowly executed, one by one. The male line of House Grey Wolf is extinguished, except for the Warg King's daughter, Hollis Grey Wolf, who is married to my grandson, Roderick Stark, who will one day become king in the north. Roderick Stark will marry the last Grey Wolf girl, adding Warg blood to the Stark line. Coming, she's already pregnant. Attaboy, get in there. Hopefully that's actually you getting in there, not somebody else getting in there. If it's a bastard, then we know where House Greystark came from. I always figured that House Greystark's origins came about when the Stark line married the Grey Wolf girls, and then one of the Stark sons, like one of the spare sons, took the name Greystark to honor, say, his mother's name, Grey Wolf, Greystark. So yeah, that's where I always figured that House Greystark comes from. Way, 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 way back kind of thing. They were like the first cadet branch of the Starks, more or less. So, ladies and gents, we are going to continue the legacy of the Breaker, why he became the Breaker. In history, we know him for breaking the Night's Watch later on, because his brother becomes the Night's King. Spoilers. But I do believe that he wouldn't just be called the Breaker for that. He's also called the Breaker because of his previous exploits. The subjugation of the Wolfswood, and the besting of the Dustins, who the Starks have been warring with for 1,000 years, or allegedly. It's called the 1,000 Years War, or some bullshit. The Dustins and the Starks have always been fighting each other and trying to kill each other, more or less. We will put an end to this centuries-old conflict, and the Breaker will march on the barrows and the hills. With his newfound strength, I will outmatch the Dustins. This is all part of the plan, boys. 1,000 years of conflict between House Dustin and House Stark ends today, boys. Ends today. See, this is why he's called the Breaker, in my humble opinion. It wasn't just because of the Night's Watch thing that happens later. It's also because he took the Wolfswood and he ended the centuries-long conflict with House Dustin. Hey, he became a formidable fighter. Come back here, Dustin. Come back here, Dustin. Oh, it's the Barrow King. Yes, attack the Barrow King. Winterfell, strike power across. It's you and me, Dennis. The Barrow King stares at me fiercely, only taking small glimpses around. Attack hard and fast. On guard. I am victorious. Holy sh... I try a positively tepid, quick slash that nevertheless catches Boulder on the knuckles of his sword hand. Reflexively? What? Reflex. Ividly. That's not even a word. Is that a word? I don't fucking know. On reflex alone, his knuckles open, and his sword clatters to the ground. Boulder and I stare at each other wide-eyed, clearly, as he is surprised as I am. It feels like an eternity before I remember to demand a yield. That's just embarrassing. I mean, he was defeated in such a pitiful way. It seems cowardly to cut him down like this. So, I think we'll imprison him. Beat his men on the field, they all surrender, and the 1,000 years of conflict against House Dustin and House Stark will come to an end. And I will seal it with a marriage pact. He will be allowed to keep his titles. His son will be betrothed to one of my daughters, I think Roderick's sister. A betrothal of House Dustin seals them with blood, and the Dustins become loyal bannermen of House Stark. And the Starks are now a major player in the north, and the Boltons are getting a little bit worried, I feel like. Especially since we're going to do this. My daughter will marry to the future Prince of the Last Lands, binding the Umbers to us via marriage and having ourselves an alliance, which will surround House Bolton and act as a deterrent against them for the future. But the future is uncertain, ladies and gentlemen, and you never know what's going to happen. Having wiped out House Greywolf and subdued the ancient rivals of House Stark, the Dustins, a few years down the line, the Breaker's brother, Jon Snow, will head to the Night's Watch. With nothing to inherit and no future, he sees himself as being of more use to the Night's Watch than anything else would ever been. A choice, ladies and gentlemen, that will go down in legend and myth. A tale, ladies and gentlemen, surely meant to scare children and keep them from wandering into the woods. A fable, a tall tale, a flight of fancy, a myth, a legend dismissed by the maesters of Old Town. For surely, the Stark's ancestors built a 6,000-foot tall wall of ice to keep out wildlings and snow, and nothing else. But that's a tale for another day, and another video. The next video, coincidentally, lads. I thank you for watching. That's all for now. Soul out.
This war is far from over.